We are not born knowing who we are, but we learn in echoes and fire and the hush of remembrance. To know yourself is to listen, to see truth in another's eyes, to shape the world with steady hands. Justice is breath, action, the footprints we leave behind. Growth is a road walked in courage, a journey never done. With every step, we rise.
Today, we interviewed 7 students from different colleges around Washington State on their perspective of Black history. Welcome to Bridging the Gap.
Like to introduce yourself?
So my name is Chilombo, and I am a student at Seattle Central College. My major is biology, and I'm also an international student, and I grew up in South Africa.
My name is Nina Lopez. I originally came from Mississippi, but after I finished serving, I left New Jersey, New York area, went down to Mississippi for about 6 months, and I plan to come back here to Washington State because it's technically my home of record.
Hi everyone, my name is Kao. I'm from Burma, yes. And I've been here in Seattle for almost 2 years, and I've been enjoying my life here.
I'm Kamya. I'm a student here at Seattle Central, and I'm from Mumbai, India.
So my name is Nicole Ortiz. I come from Colombia. I was born there, and I was raised here in America.
My name is Elijah Lumiere, go to Green River College. Come from California. I moved here when I was 11, and I've been here ever since.
I was born in Columbus, Georgia. I grew up in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. I moved from Raleigh, North Carolina before I made it here to Seattle, Washington. So here I am now.
I mean, my family, it's very diverse. Most of my family, they're Colombians. Most of my family lives there, but part of my family is Native, part of my family is Black, part of my family is white. So it's just a mix. So I know there's a lot of culture in my family.
Back home right now, it's civil war is happening. It's quite like sad that it's all the atrocities are happening, and I'm really lucky to be here, to be honest. Yeah.
So my home right now is in the Eastern Cape, which is a province in South Africa, how you guys would say states. Just trying to learn to be Black here in America was also a different story. I never realized how much of my identity was such a cause for concern to people. I didn't realize I had to watch my back all the time. I didn't realize I had to speak a certain way. I didn't realize I needed to be categorized in a certain group, or just, oh, I didn't think that. I thought that, why don't you talk Black? Like, why do you have an accent, or why do you speak good English? And I'm just like, I think the educational system did you guys a really bad advantage when it comes to learning about different cultures from different parts of the world.
I grew up with my mother, who is white, and I got to learn a lot about my French history through my grandma, all of the different things that she brought along with her from France. I only got to learn about my African history very recently. I had great grandparents that were in the South, moved back to South Africa, and had my grandfather in South Africa. And so I have West African and South African roots, and a lot of that was just never kind of enforced, and I felt like I had to ask for that.
Coming from India, how is the diversity there, would you say?
There's not much diversity with regards to race. You won't find, let's say, white people there, except for maybe tourism or some few odd people who are working there.
It makes me think about how much growth you'll get when you leave an environment that you're used to. And you know how you could hear someone say, like, show me what you're made of, you know? you never really know what you're made of until you're put to the test, you know? You leave home, you pack your own bags, you know, and then you're in a place and you realize that half of the things that you had packed you can't use.
In England, it was a little different because when people would see me, they might assume that I'm maybe like mixed Nigerian or Jamaican and white, or maybe someone who was already from one of the many colonized locations that England had at one point in time. I just looked like a mixture until I spoke. When people hear my accent, then they realize that I was African American. I realized while I lived in Europe that racism was a little bit more subdued. It's not as overt as in America. At least you know who hates you when you're in America. They will make it known and then you avoid them. But when it came to the UK, either you were excluded, it was very obvious that you were not considered, very similar to what it is like in America where you're not even considered.
I'm Demetrius Price, your interviewer. This is going to be in participation with a Black History Month documentary called Bridging the Gap. Starting with the first question, what is one myth about African culture you wish did not exist?
I would say like people surviving in a less modern way.
Got it. Got it. Ooh,
Yeah, unmodern.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. All right, I'll take it. All right.
I'm gonna be brutally honest with you. I have no idea, like, African culture.
Oh, if you could picture African culture, what does that look like to you? What is African culture? What does that look
Okay.
like to you?
I was brainwashed by lots of movies
Okay.
since I was young, so um, what I picture would be like traditional clothing and dancing and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. I mean that's honest.
Yeah.
That's cool. What is the first impression of Africa you found out to not be true?
That they are not poor as movies portray.
Okay.
Like I said, I was
That's
brainwashed.
that's fine. That's fine. I
So,
mean, there's a reason for a lot of
yeah,
things, you know. A lot of stuff is by design.
exactly.
So, I mean, feel free to be as brutally honest as you
Yeah.
like because to a degree, these perceptions that you have are not necessarily your fault. These are just, you know, ideas that were provided for you to learn off of.
Yeah.
The portrayal of Black people sometimes can fall within a small frame that most people probably only think of like entertainment or sports, but not so much medical or academics or um, politics at that matter, you know? There's so many different other avenues that we can exist in that I feel like is not portrayed on a wider spectrum.
I guess what I was shown in the media, like I knew the difference. Like I know the media is very skews a lot of what Black culture is. Like we also faced with that when they say that, oh, Africans live in huts and walk with lions and all sorts. So I knew that media isn't my go-to place when it comes to knowing about Black culture. But I didn't realize how in-depth it was. I took two classes really specific to what Black culture means, and I realized how much of a disadvantage that they put Black people through and are still doing so. Even though I do come from a diverse country, because I thought it was going to be similar to how Americans like, because it also is a diverse country. But ever since I came here, I realized that it's a bit different when it comes to growing up where I'm the majority. So when Black people are the majority and Black people, you see Black people represented in like places of power. Whereas here, it's not that frequent and it's very much putting you down instead of lifting you up.
I was raised in a very Western environment. between all the standards that kind of are enforced here. African American people are in a minority, and I know that's not common in the motherland. And it's just a little bit interesting to see, how continually we get oppressed and suppressed uh, about our history.
When I learned about Heartbreak Day, Watch Night, there's this person that I like to watch on YouTube. Her name is Bailey Sarian. She does a lot of dark history. A lot of that dark history, usually people of color and oppression cannot be avoided in a lot of the topics that she presents. And some of the topics seem very obscure. I didn't realize that sugar is one of the biggest reasons as to why my ancestors were slaves.
I do know that being almost like cotton, right? It's just
Cotton, yes, but they just wanted shirts. They wanted to become a textile powerhouse. But India already had that in the bag. All of the East had textiles already, and they had already like solidified techniques. I have a lot of pride when it comes to Black history. I'm just always frustrated though, because I'm always learning something new every single year about something I probably should have known for years. It hurts, I think, with every Black History Month. But at the same time, I get to learn so much more about my own culture. I get to learn a lot more about my family.
Because knowledge is limited back home, and being here is like it's only been 2 years. I mean, like I should have learned more because this country is like built on Black Americans, right? African Americans, I'll say. Yeah, so there's like some terms that I'm also like confused, and like I want to like know like more clearly on like those terms.
When I came to the US, the portrayal of Black culture in America was, what I had exposure to was mostly pop culture, hip hop. And I would say that was like a stereotypical portrayal of what we see in media. I have met a lot of Black American, African Americans, Africans, and I'm not very proud to say this, but I did not know what the difference between these three types of people was. And I have been very grateful to have learned that firsthand from friends of varied ethnicities.
So, Black culture, like I said, I was educated about Black culture mostly through media, and I know it's not the best place to come and like educate yourself when it comes to that. Um, what it meant to me was more of like the music scene. I love the music scene, and I think you guys did a great job in showing a struggle into entertainment, which is admirable. The culture of just being like fighting for freedom as well, I can relate to that because it's something that South Africans did for quite a long time as Black people. Yeah, it meant that they are people who look like me who are struggling in different countries the same way we're also struggling in Africa in terms of just wanting to have a place in the world.
Latin culture and Black culture, do you think there's similarities between the two?
Yes, yes, they are. There's a lot of course, there's differences but then we come together, right? We come together like our dances, our energy is kind of the same. Personality wise, I feel like we're pretty loud. Both of us, we're pretty loud, and I love that. I mean, some people might take that as like disrespectful in a certain way, but we don't. Like, we feel like being loud, it's a part of us of like expressing ourselves. It's like, it's beautiful. It's just the energy goes around, and then you dance, you eat, you laugh, you have life.
I take a lot of pride in my education and as much knowledge I've gained along the way to getting this far. So I feel like environment plays a huge role in that. I'm more than just a basketball player, football player, track star, rapper, singer, music producer, you know, no shade there, but it's like we go way further than that. I wish that more people knew that we can be more. Black history for me is, it's like almost like an infinity, you know? You can't give it enough credit, you know, because how many things have been built off of it, you know? Even down to like, I mean, the pigment in your skin, you know, from the darker to the lightest, you know, it's like us coming from the earth, and so many things come from the earth, you know? Like black is all colors. So recognizing the unrecognizable sometimes, because there's a lot of effort that goes into just that in general that I feel like should be more celebrated, you know, on a daily basis. Every day is Black History Month. Like, why not, you know?
So that has been really beautiful, and I have learned how different these people are and how much they have to share culturally, history, their knowledge. It's just beautiful, yeah.
Like enjoying life, enjoying different like cultures, but also integrating that in one.
I'm trying my best to learn, and I feel like that's the beauty in like humanity, where like willingness to learn and like to be able to like grow.
I'm proud that I'm here as a result of everything. You know how like your family is always saying, I have sacrificed so much for you to be here. She switched it and she said that you were so loved for you to be here. Everything that somebody did was out of love and it was for you.
If there's anyone watching who, you know, feels like they want to know more about who they are and their identity, ask those questions that need to be answered for yourself. The history is out there, and it's up to you to find out what you want to know. This is history in the making, so thank you to everyone, and stay blessed.
And I'm hoping this video could show light that we are all different, but we can all come together and unite and just be comfortable around each other.
Like, well, what do I call myself if I was considering myself to be African American for X amount of years? And I'm like, my parents aren't from Africa, and their parents aren't from Africa. It's like, and then, you know, my question got answered years later. It's like, oh, bro, you're just American, bro. You're just Black American. I'm like, okay, that fits. But still, it's not like a mass update where everybody knows. So it's like, that's why I say, like, I don't get offended, you know, it's all educational purposes, but like I just find these topics interesting now of how much stuff is like linguistics, you know, it's trapped in how we speak.
That's like I like when I came up with like having multiple people represent in this documentary, so that it's nice to see different perspectives and different cultures. Even for me, like the Black experience is very different for me than it is for you guys, Black Americans. So just having that diversity will help make this video just more relatable. So that is the major approach we're doing.